I feel like it's been a while since I just sat down and kind of talked about my reading taste, so today we're gonna do the reading taste tag. I'll have who it was created by linked down below in case you want to go check out their original versions. But essentially it's just a bunch of questions for you to get to know me, what I like in reading, what my tastes are, and maybe see if we align or if we have completely opposite tastes and all of that. Sometimes these can be very helpful for new people at the channel, or honestly if you just want a refresher on everything, as my reading changes constantly. I feel like I'm a different reader every 2 months. The first question is, how do you rate books? I use a 5-star rating scale where 1, I absolutely hated the book, 2, the book was boring, 3, the book was okay. I might recommend it to some people, but like probably not everyone, but I liked the book. And then 4, I really liked the book. I probably loved it. And then 5 is just like, this made me feel some sort of way and I am obsessed with it, essentially. It's pretty simple. In my scale, I probably count 2.5. I don't really use half stars, but 2.5 is like my 50% mark. So probably I enjoyed more than 50% of the book. If it's higher than a 2.5 is also another way that you could look at it. Question 2 is, how do you approach reviewing books? What's your review style? I feel like this year I'm reading for vibes more than anything else. I'm definitely still analytical in some aspects. I'm still pretty critical on books, but if a book has me feeling something, that's really all that matters. If I enjoyed a book, it can still be 5 stars even if the writing wasn't super technically strong or things like that. So I definitely approach reviewing books from my own aspects. Like, it's whether I liked a book, whether I enjoyed a book. It has nothing to do necessarily with how technically strong a book is. Whether I liked the writing style matters, but not necessarily if the writing style was like perfectly grammatically correct. Question number 3 is, what's the book that made you a reader? The first book series that I remember obsessing over is the Warrior Cat series, so I would probably definitely say that one growing up. Then as I reached into my teenage years, Twilight. I loved Twilight so much. Actually, I wasn't even a teenager. I was like a preteen, but like I was a Twilight girl, that's for sure. Do you have a genre niche? I definitely read fantasy and romantasy mostly on my channel, but I also read horrors and thrillers, and I am dabbling into the contemporary romance era of my life as well. You will not catch me reading historical fiction, and that's probably the only hard no on my channel. I do not enjoy historical fiction. It's just far too slow for me and not enough escapism, but I will probably try anything else. Question 5 is, do you prefer character-driven or plot-driven stories? I think it's about the pacing for me. I need a well-paced story. I am definitely a fast-paced reader. I love my stories to just like fly through. Like, I don't want to sit in one scene for far too long. It's why I don't typically like quest or journey stories, because it's too much just walking. It's also why I gravitate to things like school settings and trials, because we're constantly learning and doing new things in those. It's very like quicker. It's about the pacing, not necessarily character versus plot. I need plot in my stories though, so if I had to answer, I'd say plot driven, but I also do need to care about the characters. However, I find character driven readers could sit with their characters like just having tea and do anything with their characters if they love the characters like so much, where like I can't stand just like fluff scenes with characters, so probably plot driven. What's a book you love so much that you don't care if others don't like it? Or like, what's one book that you love enough for everyone? Honestly, I'm not someone who cares if other people like my favorite books. I like them, and that's all that matters. So this question is really hard, and I feel like I'm never alone on any of the books that I like. People with taste like my taste in books, duh. Just kidding. Maybe the Powerless series is, I just remember a lot of people not liking this, and I remember loving this even though I can see all the faults with it. I just remember loving it so much that I had to scream about it regardless. So maybe Powerless by Lauren Roberts. What's a book that you love so much that if someone doesn't like it, you know your reading tastes don't align? Had to answer my all-time favorite fantasy romance for this one, The Serpent and the Wings at Night. If you did not like this book, you probably won't like my taste in books. Like, this is the epitome of what I like. Trials, competition, enemies to lovers, really good banter. This has everything. The pacing is perfect. The themes in it are perfect. This is everything that I could ever ask for in a story. So probably The Serpent and the Wings at Night. What are books, tropes, or themes that you know are bad that you love them anyway? Powerless? Probably the one bed trope, or the who did this to you line, or like the knife to the throat scene. These are things that are so overdone in romantasy that like they're kind of bad at this point, but every time they're done, I'm still obsessed with them. So what does that say about me? I don't know, but like if there is one bed at an inn, I want that scene. I want authors to always make it so all inns only have one bed. I said what I said. Do you have any deal breakers in books? Something that if present immediately turns you off from a book? more and more am immediately turned off from the amnesia trope. Rarely do I think it works for me. So that's probably the number one thing that I will turn away from. Also, if someone says they're going for a really, really long journey and there's just a lot of traveling in the book, I'm turned off by that. That's for sure. But the amnesia trope is probably my biggest one. In romantasy books specifically, outside of romantasy and fantasy, it can be fine. But in these books, I just have such a hard time understanding main characters when they can't remember anything about them. And I also feel like things, specifically relationships, tend to feel convenient to me with the amnesia trope. So it's probably my biggest no in fantasy. What's a strong opinion you have about a book released within the last year, whether it's overrated, underrated, or just a take you need to share? Listen, this is hot. I think Silver Elite has way more depth than people give it credit for. I feel like people hate on this because of the romantasy element of it and how romantasy forward it is, and because it was marketed as the Hunger Games and it's nothing like the Hunger Games. But people who say this isn't dystopian enough, you need to think about the themes a little bit more, in my opinion, because there are so many themes in this about the corruption of government and how it corrupts its people. It's just not necessarily the good side that you are seeing in this book. She's on the good side and she's going to break those walls down, but there are so many discussions in this on just growing up in a society that thinks one way and how you're gonna think that way. I think the dystopian themes in this are present, and that's a hot take apparently. These people don't. I think this had so much nuance to the background knowledge of it, but it was just had a forefronted, very typical fast-paced enemies to lovers tropes we really all know and are overused to it, that people can't look past that. That's my hot take, and honestly I don't need to hear anything else. What do you look for in writing? What makes a book stand out to you? Is it prose styles, themes, voice structure, or something else? Honestly, the more I look at my favorite stories, the more I realize there is a theme of power corrupting, knowledge being changed by the victors, of rebellions and what it means for the people that are lesser than in these societies, and all of those themes. I really see those heavily in all of my favorite books. So that is something I think I look for and gravitate towards quite heavily. How do you decide what to read next? Do you plan ahead? Are you a mood reader? Follow external factors? Hype recommendation arcs? Honestly, mostly I plan what to read next through content. I am definitely a mood reader through and through, but I like direction at the same time. So that's why a lot of my content is revolved around me pulling prompts as I go, because that means that I can have a prompt for direction, but I can still mood read what I'm interested in into that moment, versus I can't plan a vlog with like 5 books for a month from now and know I still want to read those 5 books in a month. So it's like a balancing act for me, but definitely I come up with like concepts for vlogs and that does matter, but definitely like hype also surrounds it, or just like, I don't know, I'm a mood reader, so things I'm interested in at that time really do get to me, but I do need a little bit of direction as well. So that's why you see most of my themes come about. Where do you get inspiration for your booktube content? What sparks your video ideas other than creators, trends, personal reading experiences? Sims. I watch a lot of Sims content. I watch a lot of other content on YouTube, but Sims content for sure. I've had many videos inspired by what Sims creators are doing. They have a lot of fun challenges and things like that. Friends. I brainstorm with friends quite often. We're always going off of each other's ideas, and my Patreons help me a lot. I'm always asking for ideas, even though I tend to say no a lot. They're used to that at this point, but like someone's idea, one thing that they say, it could be a no for me in that way, but it'll spark an idea for a different thing that is like loosely themed from that. So I definitely look for it in everyday things, in TV shows and all of that, but my brain is just a wild place to be in sometimes. I take a lot of inspiration from like games and stuff. That's why we have games on my channel, often picking my reads, random things. So the world inspires me, but honestly other niches definitely on YouTube, because booktube tends to be very behind on trends compared to other niches. If you could make any book go viral right now, what would it be? A book you think deserves more attention and why? I actually don't understand how this book has not blown up on TikTok yet. It is getting a traditional release in like the next month, so I'm hoping that'll help spread it, but I read this last year, and A House of Bane and Blood by Alexis L. Menard needs more love. Like, this is one of the best romantasy duologies I've ever read, and I don't understand why more people haven't read it. So this would be the book that I would tell you it needs to go viral today. Although, to be honest, sometimes I want to gatekeep it because I need all the special editions of it, and if it gets too famous, I won't be able to get my hands on them. Although I would get more if it got more famous. So yeah, this is what I think should go viral. And then who are some booktubers with reading tastes similar to yours? Obviously the most similar person to me is Mel from Melonor Reads. She's my booktube bestie. We always have lots of things in common. Some channels I currently have been loving. Bookish by Tammy has been someone I have been loving. I literally just stumbled upon this channel yesterday at the time of filming this, and I watched 6 of her videos, but Jency Reads I have been loving since yesterday. I am obviously always obsessed with Tori Between Pages, and Becca has always been a staple for me, Becca and the books, but those are my current go-to channels that read somewhat similar to me. If you have any other questions that you wish I'd answered, you could leave them in the comments and I'll answer them for you. And if you want to just leave an emoji just to say you were here, leave me a grass emoji because I'm wearing green. And have yourselves an absolutely remarkable day.